Okay, as I was saying, normally I would stand here and I would have some notes. It'd either be a nice complete set of notes, or it'd be a few scraps of paper which I would then shuffle nervously while I talk. Today is an exception. Today is Father's Day. Yay! And when I saw the reading we had today from Galatians about the fact that we are all children of God, I thought, well, that fits in perfectly, because I believe I'm a child of God, and for a lot of people, I have children of my own. So I'm going to start with talking about fathers and Father's Day. My title for this, which I didn't put on the slide, was going to be God the Father with a big question mark. Okay? So that will give you an idea of where I'm going. So it's Father's Day. Now, I have 2 children. Lovely children, obviously, since my daughter is present. But like most parents, when my children were very young, when they were toddlers and everything, I was forever shouting at them and slapping their hands because they would reach for things like radiators, hot cups of coffee, pans on the cooker. I don't know why children do that, they just do. And as soon as they start to toddle, they're reaching up and putting their hands on everything. Electric, fires, the lot. So like most parents, I resort to the old, no, in a loud voice. And if that fails, a smack on the hand. The child would then go off crying. But it would learn that what it was about to do was dangerous, that they shouldn't do it. Then, sadly, they grow up. And as they move into being teenagers, you can't really just go around slapping their hands anymore. So you then get this mixture where you bargain with them and you say, no, you shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea. And you move from more sort of punishments to incentives. Oh, well, if you do that, then we can do this. If you complete that, then we can go here. And if you behave and go to school every single day, you can have an Xbox or something along those lines. So we move on to a more kind of incentive, a goal-oriented approach. And that seems to work. Apart from, there are obviously the odd occasion where you still have to shout, no! And then they become adults. And you think it'd get easier, really, wouldn't you? But no, it isn't. It's just slightly more complicated. But when they're adults, you can't even do the incentive approach. You can't do the punishment approach because they're adults. So you're left with this kind of discussion. And most parents, a lot of parents, well, people that I consider good parents, then take a slight step back. And they don't control their children's lives quite so much. They allow them to make their mistakes. But they're always there in the background. So if anything goes really wrong, they can step in and give them a lift home from a nightclub at 4 in the morning, or give them a month's rent because they've overspent. The usual things, the usual emergencies that happen. And I was thinking today while I was driving around to go to my Father's Day gift, that that's kind of how God is. And it makes me wonder if that's why there is such a thing about being God the Father. Although I would say it's more God the parent. If you think about it, you look at the Old Testament, and what was God like in the Old Testament? Fire and brimstone. No, you mustn't do that. You must do this. Raining down fire, blowing things up, destroying whole towns, just to make a point, just to get the people to do the right thing. And that seems to me very similar to an adult's behaviour towards a toddler. That sudden, no, you shouldn't do that, and yes, you should do that. And then along comes Christ, and in my mind, it started to think, well, when Christ came along, we got to kind of the teenage phase. Mankind was slightly more advanced. We had Jesus giving us all these lessons, telling us all about God. And so then it became the more incentive type phase. If you believe in God, you'll see again. If you believe in God, you'll walk again. And obviously for Lazarus, if you believe in God, you'll be raised from the dead. And the feeding of the 5,000 and 4,000, etc. So there's all these incredible things that happen through God's power. But there's still the odd occasion where things have to happen where God does something slightly more negative, I'd say. But again, it's like dealing with teenagers. So mankind has moved from being toddlers, where God is just shouting and throwing things and saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, to where mankind has moved up into being kind of a teenager, where God is saying, if you do this, then this will happen. And then I thought, well, where are we today then? And I guess in my mind, I thought, today we're grown up. Mankind has reached adulthood in a way. And I'm going to digress slightly here. I read an article some years ago, and it was entitled, Has Science Killed God? And it was kind of a bizarre article. I won't bother with all the details because it was a bit out there. But the basic answer to it was no, but it had made God take a step back. I would disagree, and I would say that the fact is that we have kind of grown up, and like any good parent, God has taken that step back, and is not controlling our lives so closely, not constantly throwing things at us and saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. However, God is there when we need God, when we ask for it, when we really need it, and it's appropriate for a response. And that's why we pray to God. So in my mind, we are now, mankind now, has reached adulthood. And has got to the point where we don't feel we need God to control everything. But we still need God to be there. That's not a very popular view, I have to say. A lot of people believe that God is in everything they do. And I believe if you want God to be in every part of your life, God is there. The same as a parent would. If you want a parent to be in absolutely every part of your life, to come in and do your washing, and, well, maybe not your washing, but to help you organise things, a parent will be there and do it. But for the more independent, if you want a parent that's just there when you absolutely need them, that's the same. So I believe that God is there when we absolutely need God. But does this mean that I believe that God is a father, as we often hear? No, I don't think so. I think God is beyond gender. Because we're told that we are made in the image of God, to me that means that God encompasses the whole diversity of nature, the whole diversity of this world in a way. Because if we're made in God's image, then God must encompass male, female, transsexual, bisexual, asexual, anything that a human being can aspire to or become. God must encompass that if God created us in his image, or her image. So maybe, I was thinking, maybe what we need to do is take a lead from our friends in the trans community and use they. Instead of he or she, use they when we're talking about God as the pronoun. That does away with all this, when we change the songs, having to put he followed by she, followed by it, followed by God, followed by creator. We can just put they. And then that encompasses the whole nature of God. So, where does that leave us? It leaves us with Father's Day. It leaves us with the fact that I am a father, so it's a subject I can actually talk about with some authority, that raising children is difficult. It doesn't always go to plan. But all good parents are always there, no matter what their children do. And so to my mind, God is like a good parent. When you need God to be in every part of your life, God's there. Absolutely. When you want God to give you some space, God backs off. And we've said this before, that the only person that can separate you from God is you. No one else can. No church, no organisation, no religion can get between you and God. It's a personal relationship. And so I think in many respects, the parent-child relationship describes how we often relate to God perfectly. And also, it gives us an idea of the unconditional love that comes back.